Howdy gamers, how's it going? Last week I made a claim about Legion being insane, but I do not think I proved that adequately enough. So this week we are going through the rest of Legion, where you will believe me by the end of this video. Real quick, if you like the content, please like and subscribe. It helps me immensely. And if you don't, please let me know why in the comments so I can improve. The Suramar Lore Master achievement has one main storyline and a few side stories that don't really matter. Some of them involve helping some Stormheim folk kill Naga, help some Night Elves do Night Elf things, kill a bunch of demons, but really they're just kind of out there. But that's kind of lame, so let's just get to the real story. It all starts out with the main character Khadgar getting a distress signal from Suramar. We head down to Suramar and we find Thalyssra, the Nightfallen Husk. Bad withdrawals are happening to her due to a lack of arc wine. We get Thalyssra to a nice little sheltered cave, but she needs some drugs not to die, so I get her a fix of delicious mana. And after doing a line, she tells me about her friends. She wants to get this crack den feeling way more cozy. So I start out by planting a nice tree in the middle of this little den. It is called the Arcan'dor. It is a magic little tree that we will help grow throughout the story of this zone. After that started, we head out to find some of her friends. We start with Telemancer Okaleth. He really likes portals, and we go on a few wacky adventures. Then I find Arcanist Val'Tois, also known as Val'Trois if you really want to upset French speakers. She is really into ley lines, which are the magical veins of Azeroth. Now, this crack house is really starting to feel like a crack home. These are the head honchos of the rebellion. The rebellion? Well, let me explain. It's 10,000 years ago, War of the Ancient Times. The Burning Legion is trying to take over Azeroth. What a switch up! This giant landmass right here is the Pangea of Azeroth. And right here is the Well of Eternity. Demons are dumping through this portal here. Night Elves and friends are trying to stop them, but it is a very hard-fought battle between both sides. Finally, the Burning Legion has a master plan.
Hey Bob, you know how we just keep walking out of this portal and immediately get smacked in the face by knife ears?
Yeah, I've noticed that happening.
What can we do about this?
We can try pushing more demons through the portal.
But this did not work, so they came up with a new solution, a second portal. They decide that Suramar City is a great place for this portal due to the power at the Temple of Elune. The elves in Suramar haven't really been fond of the demons coming through the portal just yet, but they just kind of accepted it because they are allied with Queen Azshara. So the Legion is testing out the Scourge in the streets of the city, demons are killing people, but it's all fine to the leadership of Suramar. Then, they learn about the second portal, and suddenly the demons are an issue. So the portal gets opened, but it gets shut down by the pillars pretty quickly. Then, the elves built a giant shield around their city to protect them from the Sundering. They thought they were the last living things left, and they hid in their shield for 10,000 years. They created a new font of power in there, the Nightwell. But being in a closed-off little shield, they quickly ran into a food issue. So they started brewing up a jungle juice from the Nightwell. They called it Arc Wine, and it is surprisingly very addicting. It starts to transform them into what become the Nightborn. But it also causes massive withdrawals if they don't get it. So the leadership used this to control the people in the city. If you did a crime, you got kicked out. If you got kicked out and lost your access to Arc Wine, you would shrivel up and eventually turn into a mindless wizard. Then, the Burning Legion comes back 10,000 years later, in today times, where Grand Magistrix Alisande decided to side with the demons instead of siding with her elves. A bunch of elves rebelled against this decision because they didn't like it, but they were all killed or kicked out, and that leads us to Thalyssra and friends. Now back to current times, we have a base, and I can start heading into the city to cause some mayhem. I meet up with a guy named Vanthyr. He's the inside man. He wasn't kicked out during the rebellion, and he's trying to keep the spark of rebellion alive. He's helping elves in this part of the city who are struggling because of the Arc Wine being controlled by Alisande. I give him a hand. I run around and I shove some Arc Wine down the throat of some sick elves. I free some prisoners, and I steal a ton of Arc Wine from the feds to be given to the sick in the future. Then, I'm sent on a field trip to the Arc Wine factory. I help make some myself. Fortunately, the minigame just lets me pretty much jump up and down on it instead of having to use all the different items, which is very nice because I'm very lazy. And in case you're wondering, this is not how you actually make wine. Then at the end of our tour guide gets killed. And I get real mad for some reason. I just kill a bunch of guards in revenge. I head back to Vanthyr, and he tells me to go meet up with a slime ball named Arluin. Arluin needs huge bribes to do literally anything for me. So I get him some ancient mana, and he tells me about a massive wine shipment that I can raid. I head over, raid the wine shipment, head back, give him his cut. Then he tells me about an overseer that I could take down to send a message to the feds. I take down this overseer, head back to Thalysra, and she lets me know that we need to get another inside person into a spot in the council. So I head on in and meet Lilith. I kill her competition, I spread some good words about her, and the election is successful. We now have a spy in the council of Elisande. The whole time I'm doing all of this stuff, the Arcan'dor tree is growing. These things grow really fast. They are fed by a balance of magic and nature power. If one of these gets out of balance, the tree explodes. Really cool thing to have in the middle of your base. But the tree is starting to get out of balance right now, and we need to fix it. So first, I go and get some life essence from the Emerald Nightmare raid. Then, it needs one more big hit of magic to finally start growing fruit. The fruit that will heal the elves of their massive addiction. The first thing I do is activate all of the ley line feeds in Suramar. They are all over the place in little caves. I run in there, do a little minigame, and they get activated. Then, tragedy strikes. The recording dies. So I will explain the rest of what happened with crude drawings. I finish up activating all of the ley lines throughout the zone. Then, we have one final step to make a big boom of magic power. Head into the city and cause a mana storm. I plug every exhaust vent in the city. Then we head down and overload the mana network under the city. This causes a mana storm that starts getting out of hand, so that Slimeball Arluin sacrifices himself so we can finish the job. We get back, and the tree is growing fruit. Lore Master is achieved. Okay, so this part isn't weird just yet, but I promise, it gets worse real soon. Next up, we're doing the Insurrection campaign in the zone. Soon, we'll be kicking in the palace doors to the Nighthold and throat-punching Elisande. I head back down to the lower city where we were helping people with Vanthyr before, but everything's on fire and it's been attacked. I was sure they wouldn't find out by my killing guards and freeing prisoners right in their faces. I just say screw it, and I kill more guards, and I help more people escape. Luckily, due to our nice new tree now, they don't need the Arkwine anymore, so people can flee to our cave. Then I establish a new portal back home and meet a defector of Elisande's army. He says many are starting to defect after she firebombed that part of the city. I find some defectors and I free some more prisoners so we can get even more elves to bolster our ranks. Then I find out our homie Vanthyr has been captured. I go on a crazy adventure with Thalysra to find him, and after we finally locate him, we free him and we leave some fat graffiti on our way out. After I head back to the base, Thalysra does me a massive solid. The next part of the campaign is to do 10 world quests. But because I'm working towards also getting exalted with these guys, I already did all of the world quests. So I have to wait until more spawn. After this trial of waiting one whole day to continue, I'm allowed to go meet the main character again, Mr. Khadgar. He's hanging out with elves of all sorts, night elves, blood elves, nightfallen, and they're all prepping the assault on Elisande's house. I'm sent in first to weaken the outer defenses. Then, we all strike as one, knife ears of all varieties charging in, all to watch one druid delete everything in sight. We slowly make our way up to the palace, and everyone tries to cross this bridge, but they get caught in a magic time trap. Fortunately, our main character Khadgar escorts me through it, and we rescue Tyrande. But we are now caught in a crazy snafu. The only way into the palace has been blocked. There is no possible way to fly into the palace or teleport in there or anything. We are stuck now. Fortunately, we take the poophole loophole and find a backdoor entrance, but it's blocked by a shield. The shield that is being powered mainly by a generator outside the city. Yeah, that was pretty smart. So I just run in there and flip off the power to the generator, and then I have some withered absorb the rest of the shield. Finally, we have access to the Nighthold, and we get the Insurrection campaign achievement. Like a true gamer, I set the raid to normal difficulty and blast through it. I punch Elisande in the throat, I give Ghoulstan a purple nurple, and then our friend, Illisteve Stormsteven from hit video game Burning Crusade and Heroes of the Storm is back too. Yeah, that guy we killed 20 years ago. He's alive again, and a good guy the whole time. Totally normal stuff happening here. He explodes Gul'dan, then we snatch up the pillar, throw it in Dalaran in Khadgar's special room, and get ready to assault the tomb of Sargeras. Okay, class, listen up. Now, what is the tomb of Sargeras? Well, it was once a temple of Elune, but during the Great Sundering, it was sunk to the seafloor. After he lost the War of the Ancients, Big Bad Man Sargeras schemed. He decided that he wanted to yeet a small piece of his soul into Azeroth to try and break in again someday. I guess he's really salty about losing to a bunch of Night Elves. He waits until 900 years ago to enact this plan. This is the time when Medivh's mom is kicking around, very corruptible, so he sends a fraction of his soul to go fight her. She wins, but a small piece of his spirit sneaks into her soul. This small piece that eventually corrupts Medivh into opening the dark portal so the orcs can come through. She tosses his corpse into the sunken temple, knowing that the pillars of creation would negate the fell energy. She renames it to the Tomb of Sargeras, and she adds another ward that no creatures from Azeroth could enter. Of course, this ward is very specific because, as I just said, orcs show up from not Azeroth. So during the Second War, Gul'stan from our timeline, not the Gul'stan that we just killed, a different Gul'stan, it makes sense. He shows up to the temple. He gets ate by demonic guardians. Then, many years later, alternate timeline Gul'stan from Warlords of Draenor shows up to finally open the tomb. And here we are, with the pillars in hand to close it. On the Broken Shores, there are spaceships that attack, giving us this achievement. There are also spaceships that start invading the Broken Isles all over, where we get this achievement. Spaceships. In my high fantasy RPG? Blizzard, calm yourselves. We also help work on some various buildings on the Isle for these achieves right here. But overall, the actual questline for the Broken Shore campaign isn't really eventful or full of story at all. It's mostly just killing elites, gathering supplies, and some other normie stuff. But we do eventually get the achievement for completing it. There's also a really cool side quest where we see Anduin start to come of age. We start out by finding his dad's compass and returning it to him. Then we walk around Stormwind with him for a little while. We take him to the Broken Isles and escort him to where his dad, Varian, died. He finds the sword Salamane, his dad's sword, and in a magic flash, he transforms from Anduin into Manduin. I wish there were more small stories like this that were a bit easier to find as well, so it was easier to interact with these little lore pieces that are always around. Let me know in the comments if there's any small stories you found throughout your adventures that are kind of obscure or hard to find. Back to the overall campaign though. We raid the raid, we put the pillars back in place, and we shut down the tomb battery. And everything seems like it'll be fine. Then Steven does a very cool thing, and he rips a hole in reality. And now we are parked next to Argus, the homeworld and stronghold of the Burning Legion. And things get even more weird from here. I run over to the Exodar, the only spaceship I guess I know of, where I'm sucked into a magic spaceship that the Draenei have somehow secretly been building. With our Deus Ex Machina spacecraft, we fly over to Argus with the gang. Quick rant about Argus. I kind of wish Argus wasn't just kind of thrown away in a patch at the end of an expansion. It's like a whole new planet that we could have had one or more expansions at. A planet not touched by lore. It was ripe for new stuff that we could do, new adventures, I don't know. Instead, it got bookended onto the end of an expansion and we're still just kind of finding islands in the middle of Azeroth for some reason, or we get to hang out with the Maw Man and his exposed nipples. I don't know. Anyway, Argus gets real weird real fast, so let's take one small step back in time one last time to 1300 years ago. We now stand on the planet Argus, populated by the Eridar. It's a literal utopia. They are led by the big three daddies, Velen, Kil'jaeden, and Archimonde. Hey, I've heard of them before. Sargeras rolls up and offers infinity power in exchange for their loyalty. Kil'jaeden and Archimonde snort that space powder instantly. Velen, on the other hand, nopes out and flies off in his spaceship, playing a game of cat and mouse with Kil'jaeden for the next 13,000 years. This whole time, Argus is being defiled and corrupted and exploited, and now, 13,000 years later, Steven wants to go fight an entire planet. This is absolute degenerate behavior. We are on the lookout for the Army of the Light, and over the horizon, we spot them, like a beacon of good. And then they get shot down. Awesome. This was a great plan, Steve. I'm sent to go find them. I run into High Exarch Turalyon. What a surprise. So Turalyon is, no more flashbacks. He's from Warcraft 2. Get on with it. Okay, geez. We fight this big dude. Ilaria shows up as well to help. That's Sylvanas' sister. Then Magni crawls out of some hole and begins screaming about Argus's wounds. Through his inane ramblings, I learned that Argus is actually an egg that is now being tortured by the Burning Legion. They tortured the egg spawn to make their demons insta-respawn in the Twisting Nether. If the babby dies, the Burning Legion is basically defeated because they can't insta-respawn anymore. This whole raid is not sounding too insane after all. I've got to go to the big gold spaceship that crashed so I can rescue the Naru, who is the god king of the Army of the Light, essentially. I drive by, and I scoop her up, and I dump her on the ship. She revives, and she starts cooking up some hot and fresh light. She tries to serve it up to Steve, but Steven lets out a primal ree because he wants demonic chicken tendies. And he uses his eye magic to blast her to bits. Everyone is pretty shook by this, but Illidan just keeps saying really uncomfortable, edgy things in the corner, so everyone starts to just kind of ignore him. Now, with our big, powerful god of light destroyed, we begin preparation for the final assault on the egg of Argus. Our spaceship doesn't have the juice it needs to punch a hole into the egg chamber. Fortunately, this is Velen's old stomping grounds, so he gives me some insider strats. We need to build the crown of the triumvirate. It requires 3 crystals. 1 that Velen already has, 1 that Arcan'dor locked in a barely guarded building, and 1 that Kil'jaeden tossed into the dungeon, the seat of the triumvirate. We all split up. One party goes to search for Kil'jaeden's very difficult and tough to find one, while I go find the easy one. I do this really easy color puzzle and just pull it out of a chest. It's like this is a video game or something. The other party gets all messed up trying to get Kil'jaeden's, so I have to go get it myself. It turns out that it's engulfed in void corruption. Luckily, Ilaria is real tight with the void. We head in, and she introduces me to a guy named Locust Walker who taught her how to harness the void. He never appears again. Then, Ilaria eats the Dark Naru living in the castle and becomes a super void elf. This is getting a little weird for me, so I just head back to the spaceship with the crystal. We rebuild the crown, and it turns the spaceship into a super duper gold spaceship. We use the super duper laser to blast open the egg chamber's back door, which is the final raid of the expansion, Antorus the Burning Throne. In the end, we killed Argus's world soul. Then Sargeras himself shows up, and he stabs Azeroth, because Azeroth is also an egg. He gets locked away with Steven as his jailer, not like the Mawman kind of jailer, though Illidan's nipples are also exposed. With that, we're done with this story achieves in Legion. But that's not all I did for this week. We also have a hipfire achievement montage of some of the smaller achievements throughout the game. But real quick before that, if you liked the video, please floss on the like button and yeet the subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. And let me know if you just like the lore or if you want me to do more just achievements. I'm experimenting with a lot of stuff, so just let me know what you think. And for the other achieves, I killed all rares in Stormheim, found all treasures in Stormheim, helped these 2 goblins, killed them when they scammed me, rode a dragon, killed all rares in High Mountain, found all treasures in High Mountain, played with Murlocs, did a ton of world quests, killed all rares in val'sharah, found all treasures in val'sharah, did a lot of Order Hall stuff, killed all rares in Azsuna, found all treasures in Azsuna, helped Bill and Ted, explored Suramar, killed all rares in Suramar, found all treasures in Suramar, got exalted with Nightfall, activated all portals in Suramar, got all the ancient mana storage upgrades, explored Broken Shores, explored Argus, found all hidden treasures on Argus, killed 25 rares on Argus, got electrocuted, upgraded my spaceship, and finally unlocked Lightforged Draenei. And to finish it out, as many of you know, Dragonflight's coming out at least tomorrow for me. It might be different times for you. It might already be out for you. I hope you're having fun in it. For me, I plan on doing a Lore Master video and having it out midweek as a little bonus video during the week. Also, Mr. Doug got surgery, so pour one out for Mr. Doug. Otherwise, next Sunday, I'll be running through the Pilgrim's Bounty, a celebration of the citizens of Azeroth invading foreign lands and murdering the citizens in droves. We'll also be doing a little bit of achievement catch-up on some other achievements I got and discuss some rep plans. Thanks everyone, I'll see y'all on the next Achievement Man.